Wonder Class, and welcome to our science lesson on Wednesday the 3rd of February 2021. So let's see what we're going to be learning about in today's science lesson. So our learning objective for today's lesson is, can I recognise that changes to an environment can be dangerous to living things, and can I begin to understand what can be done to reverse some of those changes? So, by the end of the lesson, you will explore what the impact of some environmental changes are, the both positive and negative, look at the potential impact of deforestation, understand what we can do to help minimize the impact of climate change, and understand some of the changes that cause the number of some living things to decline, to become less of. So today you are going to discuss 5 different changes to the environment. So here are our 5 different changes. So these are some very big words. Deforestation. See if you can say that word. Deforestation. Fantastic. Urbanisation. Global warming and climate change. Intense farming and nature reserves. Fantastic. So we are also going to be looking at the impacts of these changes. So not only are we going to look at the changes, but also what happens when these changes are occurring. So deforestation. Forests are amazing and support so many living things. So let's have a look at that picture. That's a picture of a forest. And what does it mean? So, deforestation contributed to India's deadly mudslide, experts say. Deforestation leads to land erosion, which leads to landslides. So, what does it mean? Let's have a click onto this site and have a look. So here is a website which you can have a look at. Why is the orangutan in danger? So you can have a read here. I will actually read a little bit to you. So the destruction and degradation of the tropical rainforest, particularly lowland forests in Borneo and Sumatra, is the main reason orangutans are threatened with extinction. This has been caused primarily by human activity. So via deforestation. So if you look further down, you can see illegal logging, so where somebody is actually cutting down the trees. Now the trees are what's being used by these orangutans. This is how they survive. So it's not a good thing to see this actually happening. So what can we do? Let's have a look. So choose recycled or certified sustainable wood products. Look for products that no longer use palm oil, because what's actually happening is they're cutting down these palm trees to source this palm oil. So to prevent or to limit this from happening, one of the things that could be done is to actually not use products that contain palm oil. Urbanisation means that there are more and more people living in built-up urban areas rather than in rural areas. This means that more houses and roads are being built on land that was once untouched. So that's becoming more and more people living in an area. Now, in order for these people to live in an area, they would have to get rid of some of the trees and nature things around there in order to build on top of them. So here is a little bit more of an explanation building on from what I just said. So when we build another road or housing estate, pave our back garden or make a driveway, we are taking away food sources from a hedgehog's environment, because worms, slugs and snails don't live on roads. It is thought that their number have declined. So the number of hedgehogs have declined from about 30 million in the 1950s to about 1.5 million now. Hedgehogs are nocturnal and can travel between 1 and 2 miles at night for foraging for food. So nocturnal, a bit like an owl, sleeps in the daytime, wakes in the nighttime. When we put fences between each garden, we cut off their chance to move around and look for food or find a mate, which means that because this is happening, because their environment and where they need to live is becoming less, there is not that many millions left as there were in the 1950s. So what can we do? There's a clip there you can have a look at. I'm not going to click it, obviously, again, for copyright reasons, which the clip will be posted underneath the YouTube video. Put out some food for them, leave an area in your garden for them to forage in. Talk to your neighbours about making a hedgehog highway between all of your gardens. Global warming is getting warmer. The world is getting more because we are burning more fossil fuels. The carbon dioxide this produces is a greenhouse gas. This means that when it is in our atmosphere, it acts like a greenhouse to warm up the world, but it is not a good thing that's happening. So, some of the impacts which you might already know is it's something we often do talk about, and if we were at school, it would be something probably project based that we would be doing in free flow. However, here's another chance to look at it. So, glaciers and sea ice are shrinking, which is causing sea levels to rise. If this continues, there could be flooding in areas near the coast. Polar bears hunt from the sea ice. Less sea ice means a smaller area for their hunting, which means less of the polar bears to survive because their food is not readily available. Some scientists think that global warming will also cause more extreme weather, such as hurricanes, drought, and flooding in different areas. So, these are just some of the impacts that is what we're seeing due to the fact of global warming. So, making some small changes, for example, keep an eye on your food miles. The transportation of food burns a lot of fossil fuels. It is, if it's possible, buy local seasonal produce. Make fewer car journeys, walk if you can, or use public transport. So, this is just one way to reduce it. Now, it's interesting because if we're talking about different cultures of food, different cultures in the foods that we eat. So, for example, where I'm from in the Caribbean, I know that lots of the food products that I eat in my daily meals don't actually come from England. And this goes back to when we talk about in geography importation and exportation of products. So because they don't come from England because they're grown in very warm countries, I would often have to go to a market to buy these products, and then because these products have been sent via transportation on an aeroplane or on a cargo plane, for example, it is actually causing and it's going towards more of the pollution in the air because the food is coming from far away to this country for it to be bought in the markets over here. So that is actually not a good thing. Um, and yeah, so something that I do try to do, which is I actually really enjoy doing it, is going for a walk in a local park. So near to me, I live near a park called Osterley Park, and in Osterley Park there is a farmers market there, and they often sell the local products and seasonal produce in that market. So I could buy eggs, I could buy cabbages, I could buy um weird shaped carrots and potatoes and things like that. So really nice types of vegetables and fruit which sell there, which I often try and get some for. So that's something that maybe you guys could try also doing. Intensive farming. Farming is getting more and more intense as the demand for food by a growing population is now increasing. So, the impact is that hedges are being removed to make fields larger. Wildflowers were much more abundant before the changes to the environments. There was much more wildflowers as there isn't anymore. So, what we could do to counteract this is to plant some more wildflowers anywhere you can and encourage others to do the same. And this is quite a fun thing to do. And often, let's say you had a garden or an area where you could actually grow these things. If you don't have a garden, you could always buy one of those big tray pots and you could get a bit of soil, a bit of seeds, and you could grow your own, and you would have like a rainbow type of flower pot growing. Nature reserves number 5. Are humans making any positive changes to the environment? So, nature reserves, the impact of this, these areas are being allowed to flourish once again. When we manage an area by protecting native species, encouraging growth, stopping pollution, and invasive species, then the living things in that area can thrive, meaning that they can grow, they can build, they can be exactly how they're meant to be in the earth, basically, because they have the space in order to do this. So what can we do? Help nature reserves by volunteering or picking up litter, or learning about what they are doing and telling others, or respecting the area and the signs. Getting a bit muddy, encourage others to work with you to protect your own little space. What is happening in your garden or your park or at the local allotments? Is there anything that you can do to help? Have a think. So that's a lot of information given to you. So what I want you to try and focus in on today is challenge number 1. So design an informational poster about one change. Tell people about the change and what they can do to help it. So out of those 5 changes, which I can go back to at the end to recap, choose one of those changes and make a poster on it. Task number 2 is to explain your poster either on a video or to your peers in the classroom if you're currently in school? And number three, what could you do in your local area to help your environment if any change was to happen? So have a think of something that could change in your area and what you could do to help that change. So going back to your designing, you're going to choose from one of these: deforestation, urbanisation, global warming, climate change, intensive farming, and nature reserves. Choose one of those, and then you can create your poster. Remember, like all activities, I always say to you, I give you the information, but it's also up to you how you go about and research and find your own information. You might have books at home, you might just have general knowledge, which I know lots and lots of you have on these sorts of things, and the internet. So use all of these things to create your poster and enjoy your learning. I will see you all in the next lesson. Bye, everyone.